everybody, this is Roxy, Firewife Lawyer Mom. It's curriculum time. I am going to be sharing with you a series of curriculum videos of what I have chosen for my kids for the next school year, 2023-2024. I'm going into my fourth homeschool year. Can you believe it? I certainly can't because the time is flying. But today I'm going to share with you what I am going to be using for my 6th grader, middle school. Oh boy, stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome to Firewife Lawyer Mom. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you love these videos, if they bless you, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you join our wonderful community here on YouTube where we share homeschool resources, mom life, how to balance it all. That is what I do here on this channel, and I just love the community that I have been building here, and I'm so excited because it takes all of you to help me build this community. So today we're going to be sharing what I am going to be doing for my 6th grader. Now, I know that you know 6th grade means middle school, and middle school for me, when I realized towards the end of the last school year, like about once February and March hit, I realized, oh my goodness, I'm going to be having a middle schooler. And I've never homeschooled a middle schooler before. And so there was a lot of intimidation there with what am I going to be doing for my middle schooler. So what I did, like I always do, is I started to research a lot, both on YouTube and on other different blogs and sites on how to homeschool a middle schooler. Do I need to change things? What do I need to add? What do I need to take away? What is it that it's going to take to actually get her ready for those high school years? I wanted to get her into a good position where she has a strong foundation for when those high school years come. And I know that, you know, 6th grade is really that moment where things kind of shift a little bit. And so what I did was I did a lot of research. One of the things that I realized in my research of middle school homeschool curriculum is that there really was not a lot of, it wasn't this plethora of information how to homeschool a middle school grade level. And so it was really difficult because when I started homeschooling, my homeschooling journey, and I was in elementary school, there is like tons of preschool, elementary school, especially that lower elementary level grades where there's so much information, there's so much curriculum, there's so much to choose from, and a lot of resources. But I felt like with middle school it was a little bit more difficult because, you know, I don't know, maybe there's just, for whatever reason, there was not that like plethora of resources to pull from. So I kind of went to my tried and true homeschool mamas that I follow here on YouTube and some of the Instagram blogs that I follow, and I started to put together a lot of what I wanted to do. And I also reached out to my own homeschool community and talked to some mamas that have homeschooled both middle schoolers and high schoolers and tried to pick their brain and get advice as to what I should do. And I want to thank those mamas that helped me because I know that they're watching today for all of their help and all of the resources that they have shared. So one of the things that I wanted to consider about middle school is to continue that transition into independent, fully independent learning. And I know that I've been doing that since the 3rd grade. And little by little, since my oldest daughter began 3rd grade, I have been kind of giving up those reins a little bit and allowing her to take control of her education. I have allowed her to use resources that give her that sense of independent learning, where she can watch a video or she can read a textbook and start to grow in her independent learning. Because at the end of the day, believe it or not, they are going to be graduating from our homeschool, guys. And so we want to make sure that they have the tools once they get into the college level to be able to be self-taught and independent learners. And so when I was considering middle school curriculum, one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize this year coming up is I wanted to emphasize just continuing to give her that independent learning curriculum where she's going to be able to take off and run it. Now, obviously, I'm always going to be around for help, for supervising, to make sure that she's on task and things like that. But I really wanted to start to choose curriculum that would go into that independent learning style. Now, again, we've been doing it, but on a smaller scale. And I definitely am going to be increasing it this school year for 6th grade. Another thing that I wanted to also think about is the possibility of her dual enrolling once she gets into the high school level. And I know that dual enrollment is something where really they've got to be able to have that independence to do so, because they're going to be taking college level courses in high school. And so if I can give her the tools necessary to be able to learn independently, to rely on whatever lecture she's listening to and be able to process that information, that's going to be the best way that I can set her up for success in the future. Now, of course, I'm not going to like hit full throttle and just completely, disregard me being there and educating her, because at the end of the day, I love my job as a homeschooling mom. For me, it's a passion. I love that I get to sit and educate my children and give them this knowledge, and I just love that. And so I don't want to give that up entirely. And so what I've done this school year is I've kind of been very strategic with what it is that I want to actually teach her. And last year, it really worked well, because last year, the only subjects I really taught her were religion, which is like catechesis and things like that, learning about our faith. And the second thing was history, because why? I'm a super big history buff. I'm a political science major. I know a lot about civics. I'm also a lawyer. And so I really wanted to continue to teach that. And I am going to be doing that as well this year. So without further ado, just wanted to give those little disclaimers out there. I am now going to be showing you, with a little bit of flip through, just to not make the video super long, I'm going to show you the curriculum I am going to be using for 6th grade. I cannot even believe. All right, so for the first thing that we're going to be doing for our curriculum is my daughter is going to be doing something a little bit different this year that I'm really excited to incorporate into my homeschool. And that is time for reflection with God and with the scriptures. So what she's going to be doing is, I got her this My Time with God devotional journal from Not Consumed Ministries. And she's also going to be doing her journables. Now, journables are really cool because it is a book where you're actually transcribing, you're copying in your own handwriting certain books of the Bible. And she's started this last year. We loved it. She was doing Proverbs last year. She started a little bit of Psalms, and she's going to just continue doing the Psalms. So I'm going to give her about 20 minutes each morning before we even start our morning meeting, before we start our day, for her to have this time with the Lord, where she's going to be reading the daily readings from Mass, from the Catholic Mass. She's going to journal about the readings, think about things that she learned about the readings, and then she's going to do a little bit of transcribing, just 15 to 20 minutes, because I want to get her into the habit of beginning her day with scripture and with God, and having that time and setting aside that time to have God speak to her and for her to be able to speak to God in prayer. And so I really think it's important that as they get older, especially my daughter who's in 6th grade and into these middle school years, you want to make sure that you are fostering that relationship that they are having with the Lord. So this is what she's going to be doing to start her day in the morning prior to our morning meeting. What I'm going to be doing is, she is going to have, just like last year, a book to read every month as assigned reading. Now, my oldest daughter is an avid reader. She loves to read independently. I really don't have to be on top of her about it, but I do like to assign certain books that I feel are just classic books that I think every student needs to read, because there are stories that are important, stories that have to do with history, stories that have to do with important writers of our time. And that is why I have chosen a book a month for her to read. Now, this book a month, last year that I would choose, she would have to do a lap book for. So I would use the Confessions of a Homeschooler lap books for last year. But this year, I kind of wanted to change things up a little bit and make it a little bit less labor intensive and have her do a paper on the book. So what she's going to be doing this year is she's going to be reading a book that is assigned. Now, again, this is outside of her own personal reading time, which we have in our homeschool throughout the week. But but she's going to have an assigned reading that she's going to read, and that reading will then require at the end for her to write a paper on. And I will be choosing the topic, put yourself in the position of the author. How would you have changed the ending? Or just what was the book about and how did you feel about it? Did you like it? Write a critique. Maybe pretend to write a blog post about the book, like you are an editor, like you are a book critic, something like that. So the books that I have chosen for her to read this year are Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse. This is a wonderful book about the Great Depression, and we are going to be getting into the Great Depression this year in our U.S. history, so I thought this was a great book to choose. The next one is The Island of the Blue Dolphins, which is probably what I'm going to have her read first. This is just a classic tale. I read this when I was in school. She's going to be reading Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. And she's also going to be reading a couple of the suggested readers from the Good and the Beautiful's unit studies in science. Now, we this year are going to be doing a unit study on Fridays, just me and my oldest one. Now, normally I do the Good and the Beautiful unit studies as a family subject, but we're going to dive into chemistry this year, just me and her on Fridays. And I think it's just something casual we're going to be doing because I want to introduce her into the concept without having to bombard her with a full chemistry curriculum. We're just going to be doing it once a week and just to kind of get her feet wet with chemistry. So these are the two suggested readers, and she's going to be including those as well. The next book we're going to do, which I don't have here because I only bought half of the books for the year, is the story of The Hobbit. We're going to be reading The Hobbit. I actually have that one here. We're going to be doing The Hobbit. I'm really excited about this one because J.R.R. Tolkien has tons of Christian messages within his books and within the books, and so I'm really excited about sharing this with her because I read it with her. This is the first book before the Lord of the Rings series, which I will hopefully have her read as well. We're going to be doing The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. We're going to be doing just some other classic literature books, and I will link them all in the description box below. That's another thing. I'm not going to make you guys take notes on all this stuff. I will be linking everything in the description box below of what I'm using for 6th grade, so you don't have to worry about writing it down. Now, with those books, I also purchased some literature guides. Now, these literature guides come from christianbook.com, and they are just an extra resource that she can use as she is reading the book. As she goes through each chapter, she can fill out one of the worksheets that have to do with that chapter, just to get her mind understanding each of the chapters, so that at the end of the book, she can use these guides to actually write the paper or the assignment that I'm going to be giving her. So these are from Memorial. I have some from Memorial Press and some from it's a teacher created resource, and I will link these in the description box. They're not really complicated. They're just kind of ask some basic questions about the chapters, and if there's any vocabulary words that are in there that are kind of more difficult, she can also be able to use it as a resource for that as well. Now, that is under the literature subjects, okay? So that would be considered reading/literature. Now, the second thing she's going to be doing is something that I am bringing in that I'm really, really excited about because it's totally new for our homeschool, is Redefining School. And I will link the website, but Redefining School is a homeschool mom who has created a literature-based curriculum for middle schoolers, just for middle schoolers. Now, she also has a writing curriculum, but I'm just gonna stick with the literature curriculum, and it is going to be a middle school literature study that she will be doing for American writers or American pieces of literature. And I'm really excited about that. I'm going to show you a little bit about the website here, but it is wonderful. We're signed up to do it. They meet twice a month and they discuss some of the works that were assigned, and they get to do a little coffee house where they get to bring tea, coffee, hot chocolate, something like that. No coffee for my kids, but just something that they can bring that they can enjoy and share what they are learning about with regard to the American literature. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm really excited about that. Now, for science, we are going to be using, now one of the things that I heard a lot from the homeschool mamas that I talked to that have done middle school homeschooling and high school homeschooling is the need to begin in 6th grade to introduce a general science curriculum. Up until this point, we have only been doing science as unit studies, mainly from The Good and the Beautiful. A little bit from Foundations in Science, which is a Tan Books publishing curriculum, which has a Catholic science worldview in it, and I love incorporating our Catholic faith into it. But for the most part, we have been doing The Good and the Beautiful's unit studies as a family. And I really feel that at this point, she is at that stage where she needs to kind of learn about science in a general way and learn about different topics in science, because what we have done in the past is focused on one avenue of science. Like, for example, we have talked about earth science. That's what we focused on last year. The year before, we focused on life sciences. So we did like the human body and animals and things like that. So this year, she's going to be using BJU Press for the general science course. Again, this is me letting go of the reins and outsourcing science to a company. So she's going to be doing the BJU online science program, where she will watch a video and she will do an assignment, and she also will have some tests and quizzes. So this is kind of, again, encouraging that independent learning for her to be able to learn on her own, learn from somebody else, and be able to gain that different perspective. All right, so the next curriculum that we're going to be using for 6th grade is going to be a continuation of Our Nation from McGraw-Hill. So this is our U.S. history curriculum. We did the first half of this book this past year, and we're just going to continue on with American history. I'm really a big fan of teaching kids American history very thoroughly. So this curriculum is awesome. Now, for me, American history is kind of one of those subjects where I'm really scrutinizing the curriculum before I purchase something with American history, because unfortunately there's a lot of American history curriculum out there that really is giving kids a false message of the history of America, and a lot of them are very biased. They have this certain slant one way or the other, and to be honest, I just want to teach history with what happened from an objective point of view, just showing kids what happened in history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because obviously our U.S. history is not perfect, but it is what we have. And when you look at it as an overall picture, you know, our nation is a wonderful nation that has done so much in the world. And so I love these curriculums because they are older curriculums, early 2000s, late 90s, where they still weren't at that time putting in those biased opinions into U.S. history. And so that is why I go on Amazon, and I will try to link this curriculum below, but it's a little bit hard to find because it is outdated. It's not printed anymore. But I found it, I had to pay a little bit extra for it just because it was very low supply. But you can find this curriculum. It is from McGraw-Hill, and it is really a great resource for teaching American history. We just read through it together, and I supplement it with some videos and things like that. But what I love is that it has like all of the important people in history, the important events in history, important vocabulary words that kids need to know about that history topic, and it has great little unit checkups and chapter checkups where they can answer questions on their own. So we're going to actually be continuing Our Nation, McGraw-Hill's U.S. history. Once we are done with this book, which we're pretty much more than halfway done with this curriculum, once we're done with it, we're actually going to switch over to world history. Now, we do a world history as our Fun Friday as a family subject. We use Story of the World. But I like taking a little deeper dive more of at a middle school level. And so I found this world history. Again, it is a used curriculum from McGraw-Hill. It's not in print anymore, but I just get it for the fact that it doesn't have this like crazy biased opinion about history. It really just teaches what happened in history. It goes through some original sources. It has some, it just tells you both sides of the story, and let the student or you as the parent decide how you want to present that information. And so we're going to be switching over to world history. Now again, we're not going to finish this book in next year. We're probably going to do this over 6th and 7th grade, maybe into 8th grade. We're going to go through this book. So again, I show you guys a lot of this curriculum and these textbooks, and I don't want everybody to send me comments because I get them all the time. How do you get all of that done in one day? How do you get all of that done in 1 year? We are not sticklers on having to finish the curriculum other than certain subjects like math. We don't, pressure ourselves to finish a curriculum cover to cover by the end of the school year. I am not in that rat race. I really like to give my kids a quality versus quantity education where we're really going through topics. If there's something that they're super interested in, we go into a tangent, we go into a rabbit trail about that. So I really don't need to finish every single thing. But what is great is that I have the resource that we can look up and that we can be able to use throughout these next couple of years. So that's what we're going to be doing. One of the things that I'm going to have her do during our world history while I am doing the read aloud is this Draw the World, an outline of continents and oceans. So this is a really cool little workbook where it teaches you piece by piece how to draw a map of the world in your own with your own drawing. And I love it because you learn geography as you are doing it. Now, my kids in elementary school have all been using the Evan Moore Daily Geography. For 6th grade, I'm switching out of that and we're just going into kind of a more simpler geography where we're just doing this Draw the World and kind of going through the world geography. We're also going to be doing through our loop schedule of our morning time some geography there as well, which you will see in a separate video. The next thing we're going to be doing, which I mentioned earlier in my video, is the chemistry unit study. Now this is 14 lessons from The Good and the Beautiful, and it's only 14 lessons. So we're going to be doing one lesson a week on Fridays. So Fun Fridays are days where we do completely different things than what we do Monday through Thursday. And so during our morning meeting on Fridays, I like to pick a topic that is something that we kind of want to dive a little bit deeper in, and we don't really have the time to do that during the week. So I like to put Fridays as that day. Last year, we did a personal finance and economics class, which was awesome. And I actually have a video about that curriculum that I made, and I will link that as well, either up here or in the description box below. But this year, we've chosen to do for our Fun Friday, me and my oldest daughter, 6th grader, the chemistry unit study from The Good and the Beautiful. My daughter really hasn't learned a lot about chemistry, just a really basic overview, and I'm really excited to dive a little deeper with her and possibly do some experiments together. And so this is something that we're gonna probably be doing on Fridays, and then if there's a big experiment that we don't have time for it, maybe do that like Saturday morning or something like that. Now, for foreign languages, we have decided to use the BJU Press for Spanish. Now, again, this is something where if we don't finish the entire curriculum, it's totally okay. This is one of those subjects where we're gonna do it consistently every single week, but we're not going to be doing it every single day, every week. We're going to be doing this maybe once or maybe twice a week, whatever I can be able to fit in. Now, please make sure that you stay tuned to my videos and that you subscribe, because I'm going to take all of this curriculum and break it down into the Monday through Friday schedule so that you see how I do my subject breakdown. But we're going to be using BJU Press. Again, this is another independent learning tool where she's going to be watching videos, have assignments, take tests and quizzes all on her own. Obviously with me, supervising and kind of being there as a resource. I am a fluent Spanish speaker, so this will be a great way for her to really dive in to Spanish. Now, we were using, prior to this year, prior to this upcoming school year, we were using Homeschool Spanish Academy, and I have kind of gotten away from Homeschool Spanish Academy. They really have not been very consistent with their teachers. My daughter has started with a certain teacher, then that teacher leaves. So we really had a lot of issues towards the end of last school year with Homeschool Spanish Academy, and I really loved the program. I actually shared my good experiences with Homeschool Spanish Academy, but I don't know if it's that they're a new company or what, but we really didn't feel that that was consistent enough for her to be able to master the Spanish language. And Spanish is really important to our family. We are a Hispanic family. So she's gonna be doing the BJU course for Spanish. The next thing she's going to be doing for catechesis and religion is going to be the Faith and Life series from Ignatius Press. This is a Catholic curriculum. We are a Catholic family. I love the Faith and Life series. If you are Catholic, this is the best curriculum out there. It is teaching the faith. It is very thorough. Sometimes it's a little bit too thorough, but you can, again, tailor it to your child's needs. It has an activity book and a textbook. And then it has a teacher's manual, which is really, really a great resource because it gives a lot of discussion questions and it has quizzes in there for them to just, but this is very for us. It has quizzes and tests, but it's really not like super rigorous. I mean, I have her take the quizzes, but if she doesn't get them right, it's okay. Again, it's fostering that learning of our faith, and that's really what is important to me. So that is that. All right. I have so many books like stacked all over here, so bear with me as I'm getting the different books. But for handwriting, I still want her to continue to keep practicing her penmanship, especially with cursive. Cursive is kind of a dying art form, and I wanted to have her keep doing that. What we're going to be doing is, while I'm doing read alouds during our morning time, she's going to be doing patriotic penmanship, which is a really great resource because it is the founding fathers and important American historical events and things and speeches and all kinds of things are put in here for them to copy. And so they're learning handwriting, or they're practicing their handwriting, plus they are learning about important works and documents that were written by our founding fathers. So this is kind of something that I just stumbled up on, and we used it last year and we loved it. So I got her the grade 5 and the grade 6. Again, this is very sporadic. We're not going to be using it all the time, but just mainly when we're doing read aloud, she can kind of just sit there and have something to do. This is also another handwriting resource we use, which is Writing Our Catholic Faith. And again, I love it because not only is she learning, or is she continuing to practice her cursive handwriting, but she's also learning about the faith and about tenets about the faith. The next thing we're going to be doing is, for Fun Fridays, we're going to be using a creative writing notebook from The Good and the Beautiful. And I like this because my daughter does IEW, which I will talk about in a minute, but I want her to be able to have a little bit of a creative writing outlet. So on Fridays, she's going to be doing some creative writing. Again, just on Fridays. If she doesn't have time to do it, it's totally okay. My daughter loves to write, so sometimes she might even pick this up on the weekends and just do it. But I love it because it has tons of different writing prompts, and it's very Christian based. It has all different kinds of writing exercises that they can do to kind of get their creative writing juices flowing. And I really love it. It's very colorful. I've never used this curriculum or this writing journal before, so I'm excited to see if she likes that. The next thing we're going to be using for writing, so we are going to go back to our tried and true IEW. That is the Institute of Excellence in Writing with Andrew Pudewa. He does an amazing program, the Structure and Style program she has been doing since she was in 4th grade. We are now moving into year 1 level B. She finished the first 2 years of level A, and we're really excited for this. She loves Mr. Pudewa. She loves watching his videos. He tells the most amazing jokes. He really makes writing fun, and I love that it teaches them to have structure and purpose to their writing. And so she usually does that Monday through Friday. The next subject is math. Now for me, I am going to tell you, I am a tried and true Saxon math fan. I love Saxon math. I think Saxon math is a tried and true curriculum. I just love it for my kids. It's very thorough. I just love it. So we're going to continue on with Saxon Math. We're doing 7-6. And my angel, Nicole, the math lady, who we met at our homeschool convention this year, which was super exciting. My daughter thought she was a celebrity because it was just amazing that she got to see her in the flesh after watching all of her videos. And she's been her math teacher for the last 2 years. And it's been really cool to see that she created this bond with her in all of her math lessons. So Nicole, the math lady, is a subscription service where you get access to videos created by a math teacher who is a homeschool mom, and she makes all of these videos per the lessons and the lessons in the Saxon Math curriculum. She has all the Saxon Math. I believe the youngest is 3rd grade, which is what we're going to be starting with our 3rd grader, our new 3rd grader now coming up. And I will get into that when I talk about my 3rd grade curriculum. But we're going to be using Saxon Math 7-6. We're going to be switching to the homeschool version. We were doing the regular school version, I think it's called like Harcourt something. We were using that, but that is no longer in print anymore. So we are switching over to the homeschool curriculum, which is great because there's no Common Core in it, which is awesome. And that is what we're doing for that. For grammar, we're going to be going back to Fix-It Grammar. And for this, we're going to be doing Fix-It Grammar. And I love Fix-It Grammar. Again, it's an IEW product. It is using a story. All my curriculum is falling. It is using a story to basically teach grammar skills. So what they're doing is they're revising and editing this piece of work throughout the entire thing. Like this one is for the story of Robin Hood. So they're going to read the story of Robin Hood, but it's chopped up into different lessons, and they will be just looking for different prepositional phrases and adjectives and subject verb agreement and learning grammar through editing, which I actually love. And this is really, really, really highly recommended because when you're in college, you need to make sure your grammar skills are up to par, and that's the way you do it, by editing and revising your writing. So this is a great resource and we love it. So the next thing is for vocabulary. This workbook is a great workbook. It is 240 vocabulary words kids need to know. I've used this since I began homeschooling. I love it. It's very short little lessons. You get a set of 10 words every week, and you just do different activities. And the activities are super short. They literally take 5 to 10 minutes long every day to do them, and you learn different vocabulary words. I love having that, even though she's in middle school, and kind of like vocabulary it's like you got to know the vocabulary at this point, but hey, we never stop learning new words. So she's going to be doing this. It takes her really no time, and she actually has fun doing this, so it's cool. The next one that we're going to be doing is, and this is again once a week, are reading comprehension skills sheets. One of the things that is really important for middle school, I feel, is that they start to kind of get the idea and the concept of reading comprehension for purposes of standardized test taking that they may be taking in the future, either for dual enrollment, for SAT, all those kinds of things in the future. So I found this little reading comprehension skill sheets from Becca, and it just has passages. And again, this is not something we're going to be doing every single day. This is going to be something probably once a week, maybe on Fridays. Maybe we'll just save this for the second half of the school year. I don't know yet how I'm going to lay it out, but it's great. It just has a small passage that they read, and then they answer questions on what the passage was about, just to test their reading comprehension. So again, just little tools that they're going to need to have in the future that I want to start to expose her to now, so that she kind of is used to it. Other things I'm going to sprinkle in for just kind of like sparingly, maybe once a week or so, is going to be some higher order thinking and logic skills. And I love to use the reading detective, using higher order thinking skills to improve reading comprehension. This is really cool. This is a really great series. They have reading detective, they have writing detective. This is really cool. It's a little bit advanced, so you may want to do one grade down. If this is a new curriculum you're going to be introducing to your middle school, you may want to go with like a grade 4 or 5 instead of 5, 6. But she's been working on this curriculum since last year, so I think she'd be able to handle it. And this is just using that higher order thinking, because You can have a reading comprehension passage that just kind of shows you, okay, what happened here, but this, what happened here, like if it's a story about 3 dogs that saved a person, okay, how many dogs were there? 3. Like this kind of goes above just the facts of the story. This is using that higher order thinking, like forming inferences. This really takes that comprehension to another level. And so I'm going to kind of interchange the reading comprehension sheets with this, so that she can also have that higher level of thinking. I also got the higher order thinking grade 5. Now again, I bumped this a grade down because she's never used this curriculum, and I want to make sure that she's not frustrated when she's doing this, because that's not the point. The point isn't that she's doing grade level work in every area, but that she's doing stuff that's challenging, but that's not frustrating. So there's really a balance there. So we're going to be using this for just kind of her higher order thinking and logic skills. I have been doing logic with both of my kids since we started homeschooling. It's something that I feel is really not covered in public school, and I wanted to bring it into my homeschool because why not? We can tailor our curriculum to meet the needs of our kids and to set them up for success. So that is it. That is all the curriculum we're going to be using for 6th grade.